Why do some teams dominate the ball while others chase shallows? It all comes down to how they train possession. In grassroots football, too many sessions focus on isolated passing drills that don't transfer into the game. That's why in this video, in this presentation, I'm going to break down how you can train your team to keep possession with a purpose, with a lot of focus on the individual player and the skills that you can teach them to help them become better at keeping possession. Why does possession matter? So we're going to take a look at body shape, scanning, quick combinations, how to create overloads in realistic training environments. By the end of this, you're going to have 4 or 5 small sessions, as well as a full whole part whole session that you can run during your training sessions this week. Now, why possession matters? First of all, we're going to help to develop smarter players. If your team can keep possession, we're going to be training footballers to think faster and make better decisions under pressure. The better they get at doing this, the better and more effective your team is going to become. Possession is also, we need purposeful movement to have good possession play. So we need to think about creating meaningful patterns that translate directly to match situations. Now, if you've got a team that plays out from the back, we can't just say we play out from the back. What does that mean? What does it look like? So playing out from the back doesn't always mean you've got to go to a centre back or a full back. Playing out from the back might mean going straight into midfield. It might mean going forwards quicker. But if it's done in a controlled pattern, in a specific way that you want to do it, that is playing out from the back. Now, I might like to go to a centre back who goes to a full back, and that might be the trigger for my other full back to invert into midfield. When it goes from centre back to left back and back to centre back, that's the moment my right-sided full-back comes inside to create a box in midfield. But that's what I mean by patterns and triggers that we need to start working on with our teams. And now, game transferable habits. We can't just do isolated drills. It's got to be realistic. Players don't stand there passing from cone to cone. Okay, they don't start making movement away from a cone just to create a little bit of space. What they have to have is realism of things going on, things moving, the environment changing constantly to really improve with their possession play. So really think about those things when we're working on how we play and how we develop possession play. So first thing, let's move on to body shape to receive and play forward. This is the foundation. If players have got a closed off body when they receive the ball, they massively limit the options once they've got the ball under control. We want them to receive side on, and they want their hips to be open with the pitch, and ideally we want them to play forward. Okay, if they don't get their body shape right, they will not be able to play forward. So we have to get side on. Now, if you can do this straight away, even better. You can't always do this immediately because you're making movement to receive the ball, but try and get your body shape open. Okay, so if I'm receiving the ball from my centre back over there, and on the full back, I want my body shape open so that I can see the whole pitch before the pass is played. I don't want to be closed off. Then the other way to think about a side on body position as well is if you're a centre midfielder, it's not always from our goal to their goal. If you're a centre midfielder, it might be opening your body shape to receive from one wing, so your whole body's open so you can switch it to the other wing. You want to be open up so you can see all of those options when you receive the ball. Now, like I said, that's not always an option, but if it's not, you need to create space to move, and then as the ball travels to you, we've got to teach players to open up their hips. So we can talk about open your body, give them some more specific information than that. Open up their hips. So it's that movement of opening up your hips, because that automatically moves your back leg and opens that up so that you can receive the ball on your back foot. And then let's think about our first touch. So we've opened up our body shape, opened up our hips, taken our touch, and ideally we want that touch to go forward. Now, I've done some work with players where I've filmed a load of players and broke it down into slow motion. They'd open their body up and want to go that way, but their first touch was their negative and came back towards where the ball had come from. So many players do this. So what we've got to teach them is open their body up, try and take their first touch forward. Obviously, if they are under pressure, they might need to protect the ball instead of opening up. That's fine. But if we can teach good habits of check your shoulder first, if there's space, open your body, open your hips, take your first touch forward. So these are the things we want to start encouraging players to do. Now, that little bit as well, we want them to see the whole pitch. So many players open their hips and their shoulders up to here, to kind of this point. Then if they open it up to 2, 3, 4 more inches, they'll see the whole pitch. So that's the difference between only seeing half the pitch and all of it. And you can always stop them and say, right, how much of the pitch can you see without turning your head? That way, right, and then if they say, well, I can see 2/3 of it, open your body a bit more, now how much of it can you see? Then you'll start to get, hopefully, them understanding why it's so important to them. Now, here's a little session on opening your body shape up to play forward, and the session is basically a small-sided game, which is great. Players really enjoy a little small-sided game. So in this practice, just set up a pitch, set up a match, but split the pitch into quarters. You can do it in thirds if you want. I prefer to do quarters because it gives more opportunities for players to play forward. And all we're doing in this small-sided game is trying to score a goal. There's no restrictions on where players can go. They can go wherever they want. But by having these quarters in there as well, you can encourage players by saying, we need a player in each quarter at all times. So they'll start to spread out a lot more. This will in turn then give you forward passing options. But all we're doing in this game is trying to score a goal. But you want to challenge players to try to always receive the ball and play a pass into the next quarter if you can. Now that won't always be possible. You've seen that immediately, it's just done a set back, but that's to allow the next pass to go forward. By encouraging players to try and play always into the next quarter, as a coach you can then start working with them on their body shape. So working on, right now, look, if you're the wide fullback, open your body, get your hips open, can you take your first touch forward? As the other team, so going forward might not always be with a pass like this one has just been played. It might be taking your first touch. But it's a simple practice, and then the skill of the coach is going in, talking about opening up your body shape, trying to take your first touch forward, open up your hips when you can. So if we go to the next slide, this one's about scanning before we receive the ball. A common mistake in grassroots football especially is players look at the ball the whole time. I'd also say it's a common mistake for coaches that we always watch what's going on the ball rather than around and away from the ball. We want to create a habit of players checking their surroundings before the ball comes. So an easy thing to do for players is get them to watch. There's loads of clips on YouTube of players scanning. Like how many times they look around. There's a Frank Lampard one, there's a Messi one. There's so many of them. Players that just scanning, they're just looking. So they've always got the picture. It's something that will get players to buy into it more if you can show them their heroes and how much they do it. So first of all, we talk about checking our shoulder. And whatever words you want to use for this is up to you. But I'll give you one in a minute that I've heard that is one of the best ones that I know of. But checking your shoulder, it needs to be constant. What's going on around me? Where are my players? Where are the opponents? Where's the space? The more information you've got built up in your brain when you receive the ball, the more effective you're likely to be once you do have the ball under control. Then adjust your angle. So thinking about, right, I'm checking my shoulders. If I change my angle here, if there's a bit of movement here, I can see more of the pitch. Or I can start to see more of where I want to go with the ball. And all of this will then help you anticipate what your next action is going to be. So you need to know what you're going to do with the ball before you receive it. If you're deciding what to do with the ball once you've received it, that's too late. You need to know what you're going to do before you received it, and that happens by constantly checking your shoulders and adjusting your angle and your movement. Right, got to the next. So one tip I've got for this, there is an app called Coach's Eye. I think it costs about £5. Don't need to use an app, but if you can use this one, it's brilliant because it slows things down, and there'll be similar apps to it. But even if most people have got a phone, obviously GDPR and safeguarding rules, be aware of those, but film a player for 30 seconds or a minute during a session, especially a possession-based session. So film what the player is doing. After that, get them to come out and say, right, watch this video back, tell me how many times you scan or check your shoulders. It'll probably be minimal. Say, right, go and do it again, I'm going to film you again. Film them, they'll come back, it'll be loads more this time. Now, obviously they know they're being filmed at this moment in time, so they are going to do it more. But the more times you can do things like this, the more it becomes a habit, and it becomes a bit of muscle memory of something they naturally do. So if you can do things like this all the time, it will help. Players love watching themselves on video as well, and that's something that really helps with their development, I've found. And younger players now are becoming more and more interested in things like this. So give that a try, see how it works. Now, in terms of scanning before receiving, this is one of my favourite sessions for this. Now, you set up a circle, quite a wide circle, with a small triangle in the middle of it. And you split the group into teams of 3. Now, it's nice and simple. I'll show this session with just the blues working for this minute. A blue player will play into the central player, who will receive the ball and play out to the other blue player. The first player on the outside that's played the pass then needs to move to a new area. So what you can see, they play the pass. Okay, after that pass, the blue player's moving. The player in the middle plays it out, and then they create another angle. Because the other blue player has moved, the blue player in the middle needs to be scanning and looking at where that player is, and then adjusting their angle after all the things we've just talked about. Now they move again, the player's moving constantly, and then they'll play in there and out. Now, all 3, 4, 5, however many teams you've got are playing at the same time. So this will look very chaotic at first, but what you've got is space is constantly changing, which gives you more reason to scan. It's not just about knowing where your players are on the outside, it's about knowing where the space is in the middle and where the opponents are in the middle as well. So, as you can see, once everyone starts moving, it can get a bit chaotic and the space constantly changes. Play for, say, 1 minute and then swap the players on the inside with the players on the outside. The other progression on this, I've got 2 progressions on this. One I'm going to save just for our Patreon Ultimate members when I do their full session walkthrough of this. But one other progression you make on this then is challenging players to try and receive in the triangle. So you might say, like the yellow has there, especially if you've got a player who's really good, you say, look, I think you're finding this easy, you're really good at this. Can you try and only receive in that triangle? But in the triangle there's less space, there's more chance of the ball getting knocked, intercepted, so players running in the way, so it's harder for them to do it. But challenge the really good players, and you can still then differentiate this to say to the whole group, can someone be brave and try and receive it in the triangle? The players who are not as confident might not do it, but the confident ones will really challenge themselves to do that then. So that is another progression on this to make it harder, but a great one for scanning and awareness. It's fast moving, it's quite a physical workout as well. Now, next slide. We talk quickly on quick combinations in tight areas. Okay, so we're now going, and it's going to make it a bit more dynamic. So the best ways to get through pressure, to break teams down, to create opportunities to score, is by playing quick combinations in tight areas. So your scanning and awareness needs to be really good because you're under pressure constantly. Your technical ability, first touch, ability to play 1-2 touch passes is also vital in this. If you can receive on your back foot with an open body shape, that will allow you to play forward quickly. That all ties into how we can improve our quick combinations in tight areas. So, 1-touch play. If we can move the ball really quickly, it breaks the pressure. So it might be a couple of passes, a couple of 2 touches, extra touches. As soon as you can then play a 1-touch pass away from the pressure, it allows you to escape that compact area and attack on another part of the pitch. Support movement, we need to think about angles for teammates when they're under pressure. Said this before, if a player is under pressure, you need to make a movement to support them, so create an angle, maybe go closer. If they're under no pressure, you can make a run forward. And that's it. It doesn't need to be more than that. But everyone's got to be aware, not just of what they're doing, but where is the ball, how much pressure is that player under, what are they going to do there. And timing of passes, release the ball at the perfect moment. There's countless times I've seen a player who's got the ball with loads of time and space, and they play it into a player who's marked or got no time and space. So think about when you're releasing that ball. Normally it's when someone has come to press you, which has opened up space for someone else, but you've got to be comfortable enough in possession to then play that pass at the later time and not too early. Now I've just put on the bottom here, you can set up a 3v1 or a 4v2 rondo with kind of touch constraints, 1 touch, 2 touch, encouraging players to kind of break lines with quick 1-2s or diagonal passes. We talked about this in the previous video, which was on our Patreon channel for our Ultimate members. There's some advanced stuff about rondos on there that we've gone into in a bit more detail. But I will give you one more quick session plan on quick combinations in tight areas. Again, for those who aren't Ultimate members on our Patreon, during this video I'll give you like a 1 minute overview of the session plan. Our Ultimate members get a full kind of 5, 6, 7 minute video going through it in a lot more detail and coaching points. But this gives you the basics that you need. For those coaches who want to know a bit more and go a bit more in depth, obviously just have a look for us on Patreon and you can sign up there for, it's about 20p a day it costs. So this one, nice simple session, set up a square, and I've split the interior of the square into 4 triangles. So 2 lines of cones creates 4 triangles, and we've got a 1v1 in each triangle, and the players are not allowed outside of that triangle. Now the players on the edge, you can have servers that play just for both teams, but on here each team has got a set of 2 target players. So it's nice and simple that no one's allowed out of their square, but their triangle, sorry. And we've got to pass and move the ball and try and get the ball from end to end. So as you can see here, the yellows are trying to combine to get to the other yellow player. And it's as simple as that. But because of the tight area, this will be roughly a 20 yard by 20 yard or 30 by 30 area. Because of the tight areas and the angles they have to create, they have to work really hard to combine quickly to get through. There's not much space to dribble, and as you can see, as the blues now have intercepted, they're going to try and go and do the same thing, but going from blue target player to blue target player. This is a great little practice, because sometimes like this you can go straight up with a furthest pass for a setback to go through. You can create space as an individual to try and receive on the back foot to play forward quickly. You can look at little 1-2s and other combos, but it's a really good one for working on little combinations to try and play out into a new area. Now, next one. Next slide. So, we have got another 3 or 4 slides and a full whole session on there. As I mentioned before, everyone who's watched these videos, we give the first 17 minutes you've had for free. The last 10 minutes or so we save for our Ultimate members on Patreon who are subscribers. We do give loads of free session plans out on www.tsccoachesclub.com, but we're on all social media sites, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Have a look, Twitter, X, have a look on all of those. We give loads of free stuff out. We also have a WhatsApp community and mailing list if you want all of our stuff sent directly to you. But for the coaches who are more serious about their development, become a member on our Patreon for as little as 20p a day. You get a full session each week, and that session plan includes also differentiation, how to include goalkeepers, what to do if you've got different numbers. Starts with a warm-up, a main part of practice, and a session, a small-sided game. That gets sent to you every week, as well as extra tip videos, the extended version of this video, so there'll be another 5-10 minutes of this video, as well as full versions of the session plans we've just gone through. For those that want to sign up, have a look, share our stuff. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the stuff that's already been on here. The rest of this video will be shown to Ultimate members on Patreon, and you guys obviously are watching on Patreon now. We'll stick to that bit, and here we go.